Hey, I'm Dr. Pilet, and today's topic is trust and support. Trust and support. You know, I think trust is one of those more important characteristics that you have to have in a relationship. I don't know if you've ever been through it, but you know, most of the men I've worked with have been through that really nasty occurrence of being in a relationship where they lost a sense of trust for their partner. And let me tell you something, if that's something that's ever happened to you, that's that gut-wrenching feeling that you have, that insecurity that you have, that you just don't know what's going on. And it doesn't make sense. So when I ask you to think about how do we lose trust for someone, I'm going to remind you of the two most important ideas that are flagrant. They just jump out right in front of you. Number one is you can lose trust for somebody a little at a time, over time. So it's singularly or a combination of events that occur that demoralize you. Now, I can give you an example of that, and that is I've got a friend of mine that religiously will call me to say, let's go biking together, or let's go fishing together. And I truly don't remember one time he's ever been on time. I have no trust when I say to him, hey, you're going to be at my house at 9, right? Yeah, I'll be on time. And even though when I do a scorecard item, remember a scorecard item? Scorecard is,
bring up the past.
Yeah, I bring up the past for the purpose of reminding you of some event. And typically we use scorecards to bring people down, to put them on our level, to beat them down emotionally. But sometimes we'll use a scorecard item just to remind them, well, look, you mistreated me before, and you're telling me you're not going to do it again, but I'm not sure I'm buying into it. And that's exactly what I said. I said, you know, yeah, you said you're going to be on time, but, you know, I'll figure if you say 9:20 is probably more like it. You know, there are people in your life that you do lose a sense of trust on different characteristics. If you want, you know, being late, that's one of them. That's being late, that's the most common one I see. But you can also lose a sense of trust for other things. How about repaying me the money you owe me? You know, I've got this ringtone on my phone, and oh, by the way, I think all you all know you can associate a ringtone to a certain person. Well, my son, who's behind me, now a lot older, when he calls me, it says, your son is calling, he probably needs money. Your son is calling, he probably needs money. You know, well, it's interesting, I couldn't find my phone the other day. I couldn't find my phone, but he had his phone. So he called me on my phone, and he's right there. He's like, come on, Dad. God, man. You know, can't you find a better ringtone? But I think all of us with kids have a sense that we lose trust. You know, they're always looking for somewhat school money. You know, I'm going to athletic program after school, the YMCA, or how about the one where either the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts send cookies home, and they're trying to pawn off these. You know, it's a 50-cent cookie for $1.50. But it's not just being on time, punctuality. It's not just money. What are some of the other things that we lose trust for, especially when you have kids? Like, I have no trust that my kid's bedroom, when I go home after finish this class, is going to be straightened. Even though I said, I'm not here this morning until 1 o'clock. I want your rooms absolutely straightened and put away. I, over a period of time, have learned that no, probably won't be, you know. Probably it's their standard of order and cleanliness is not the same as my standard of cleanliness, you know. So we do get a feel over time for different aspects of how can we trust others. Punctuality, being on time, a standard of order, you know. Hey, get the kitchen cleaned up, and then you walk out and you let the kids do their job in the kitchen. And then you come back in and you find out that they didn't use soap and the plates are greasy. Yeah. So, but understand, that's an important tool, because once you've identified a flaw or some weakness in our relationship, you begin to remind them, and hopefully they begin to course correct. Now, understand, I want you to know that yes, you can lose trust a little at a time, over time, but I'm also going to let you know that there's another way to do this that we have to consider, and that is, you know, this violation against me was so severe, it's over. It's done. I have no sense of trust for you. That's the other one that we tend to see. The one that's a permanent violation, that one where I have no sense of wanting to even be in a relationship with you because you've crossed a boundary, and that boundary you crossed was so severe that I'm done. So when you ask for those types of things that we typically see, for me, the biggest one I see is drug abuse. The biggest one I see is drug abuse, where I'm in a relationship with a partner that, they've had a drug history, they were clean, but now they're in relapse. And when people have real drug problems, let me tell you something, that's just an evil, evil thing that owns their soul, owns their mind, and everything they think and breathe is all about that. But one common, of course, is, that one, drugs. Another one I see is where you cross a boundary and, you have done something so severe to me that I'll never trust you again. And if you will, I had a client recently where, he wiped out their checking account. Just wiped it out, just spent it all. Okay? And now that idea that I will never trust you to money manage again, and by the way, for whatever it's worth, I'll tell you the other part of this that maybe I should add into it. It was gambling. We've got Indian Reservation. I have friends that go there. I mean, whenever I've gambled, I go with a certain amount of money, and once it's gone, I just assume it's a donation. You can't win at a casino. You really can't. You really can't. In my mind, you can't. Now, there are people that will argue that point. Well, guess what? I'm just jinxed. But, people get addicted to that stuff, and it's kind of a drug. And when you get caught up in that notion, I don't see any different from scratch-offs. I see people pull up to Circle K and whatever, and they'll buy $50, $20. Yeah, scratch-offs. And I'm like, I think that's just as serious when you add up all the money that you've spent. I don't think you actually find that you get any of it back, at least not enough of it. So losing trust, a little over time. Yep, that happens. All at once, that happens. But then you got to go to this other side of it, which, how do you get trust back? How do I earn trust back once it's been lost? So you've got two sides of this coin. One is you may be the person that's trying to win the trust of another person that's holding you, check this word out, accountable, check this word out, for some indiscretion done against them by somebody else, nothing to do with you. So let me explain that. It's not unusual that I have a man going into a new relationship. And as he's into this new relationship, he finds himself being questioned relentlessly on where were you? What did you do? You're going to be on time? I'll see you tomorrow. Wait. You said you were going to do this, but you didn't do that. I don't get it. And so as you start to realize that I'm being looked at under a magnifying glass, you start to say, well, what have I ever done to indicate to you that I shouldn't be trusted? What have I ever done to you to show that I'm not worthy of your love? And then you start to find out that your partner has baggage. Baggage. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of baggage you carry on a train. I'm talking about emotional baggage. All of you in this room have emotional baggage. Me too. Me too. But it's not the emotional baggage that's the problem. It's not recognizing it, not peeling it back enough to know it for what it is, and to see when your baggage is affecting a perfectly good relationship in such a damaging way that it shouldn't. And so that story I was giving you about what happens when you begin to date someone that you really want to be in a relationship with, and then you find that you're under a magnifying glass because she has baggage. Your partner, the person you want to be with. Now you're trying to prove yourself trustworthy, not for any act of deviance that you did, but for acts of deviance done by people you never met. And for whatever it's worth, I had a guy recently, and this is a true story, I'll tell you. He had trust issues with the girl he was dating. He had trust issues with the girl he was dating. And in his previous relationship, he found out that she had somebody else lined up, and when they broke up, she just put her investment in that new relationship. And it was a breakup for her like this, right? We talked about that a few weeks ago, rebound love. And for you new guys, I'll sort of try to explain that to you, and that is, I'm here and I've got a woman running towards me, and she's saying, I love you, my God, I love you. And I'm sitting here and I'm enjoying all this positive, loving energy, and I'm thinking to myself, whoa, wow, man, it must be pretty good. I mean, I knew I was good, but she's putting me up there now. I feel really good. From all of you guys watching from the outside, you start to see she's not running to him because he's that good. She's running away from that other relationship he doesn't know about. See, there's a big difference. From my perspective, I think you're coming to me, but from your perspective, no, you're running away from the other relationship. We call that rebound love. What happens for women also, women also, they find themselves rebounding, and you as a man, sometimes you can't, you don't know that. Well, in this particular case, his distrust for his new person, he was gonna, somewhere in his mind, he got it going that if he got in his car and drove across town to pass by her apartment, if her car was there and the lights were out and everything looked kosher, then I can trust her. So it happened that he got up, drove out there, and gosh, her car was there, and he went home. But here's the problem. Once you begin feeding into distrust, it's like an addiction. You can't do it enough. So a week later, when she wasn't answering the phone, guess what he did? Got in his car. Her phone was just off. But now we're feeding into, oh, she's not answering it. And then it was a week, and then it was 4 days, and then now it's 2 months into this where he's going by there twice a week to see if she's there, And guess what? He went by there and the car wasn't there one night. Now we got this huge argument that has to do with nothing about himself, but about his baggage from previous relationship where he was truly lied to. And as it turns out, she was just over at her mom's house. But think of the destructive nature once you prove to me that your distrust for me is such an enormous quantity that you're going to get in your car at 1 in the morning and go track me down. That's pretty awful stuff. It really is. So the idea, how do I start to earn this thing called trust back? Now, I mentioned this word called accountability. Accountability. And whenever I give you this word accountability, I'm going to throw in another one with it, so they should come together. He said it, yeah. Say it louder. Honesty. Honesty and accountability. They're kind of two words that go together when we talk about trust. Because if you're going to earn my trust back, number one, we're going to start off with honesty. And so number one, I'm going to ask, where were you last night? Called you, 1 o'clock. For some of us, that might be awkward in itself. I can't even imagine asking my girlfriend, where were you last night, because you didn't answer your phone. But that's okay. We're down to that level because I've got baggage. My last partner left me so coldly, so indiscriminately, that I found out later there was something going on. And I'm shocked, especially when I ask my friends and they all know about it. Wow, y'all knew about this? Well, I don't want to say anything. So the idea that you begin to be honest. And honest is to what? To openly disclose, right? People, topics, situations. I openly disclose to you people, topics, situations about my life that makes sense in such a way that you believe me. Honesty. But also, honesty can also be where I have taken responsibility for stepping on your foot. No, excuse me. Where I admit to, honesty can be where I admit to an indiscretion, that I have stepped on your toes and that I have caused you some hurt. And some people like that. They say, well, gosh, as long as you're honest, I can develop trust for you. And we all think about that. As long as I'm honest, as long as a person's honest with you, then I can develop trust. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
I'm getting some. Nobody's saying no. I'm getting a lot of heads. Kind of feeding you in because would like somebody to say no.
Well, no.
I got a no volunteer.
No.
Yeah. And the reason I'm kind of going for that no is, think about it this way. Let's just say that honestly you admit to me that you made a mistake. You promised to repay the $100, and you didn't. So again, I'm honestly telling you, I've lost your trust to repay the money, and I didn't do it. Okay? Was that enough? Is that enough to lend you money again?
No.
No, that's where the word accountability comes in. Because accountability is the second part. Honesty is to admit you made a mistake. Accountability is to say to the person, how do I make it up to you? How do I make it up to you? So what's more important, honesty or accountability?
Both.
Oh, what's more important? You can't say both.
Accountability.
Yeah, because you know what? If you're going to make it up to me, you're automatically being honest.
Yeah.
but you can certainly be honest and not be accountable.
Yeah, well, your actions are showing just by being honest.
No. Honest is words, not actions.
Yeah, excuse me.
Actions are accountability.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
I'm all right with that one. Your actions, which is accountability, course correct the problem that was created by me. See, and now we're getting to that idea. I do begin to develop trust for you. I do begin to develop trust for you because as doing so, by my actions, I'm trying to heal those wounds, not just by accepting responsibility for them, that's part of the honesty, but also some action that's directly related to how do I make it back to you. We typically see people losing trust. The big ones are your actions just don't match your words. Yeah, I mean, haven't you guys experienced talking to somebody and you know they're lying, but I got some positive, yeah, you know they're lying, but you're not going to flush them out on it, you know, because A, it's going to be an argument. You don't want another argument, right? You don't flush them out because it's going to be an argument. Or two, it's just not that important. You know, yeah, if you feel the need to lie to me about where you were for the Bucks game, when you said you were going to meet me, that's fine. I don't care. It's not that important. Another one is, of course, when people become predictably unpredictable. Remember the story I gave you before about can you be on time? He was so predictably unpredictable because I didn't know what time he'd show up. I knew it wasn't the time he said he would show up. That's all I knew. But it could be 9:15, it could be 9:30. Or better yet, how about these people that say, let's go do something tomorrow, and you get up in the morning and they, can't do it, cancel out. They become predictable, unpredictable. When people don't make sense to you, and you try to move into a higher level relationship, now you guys can't see it on that back board over there, but I've got the levels of relationship. How acquaintances become friends, how friends become roommates, how roommates become companions, and companions become lovers. And I believe all of you in this room have a bunch of people that fit each one of those. In terms of love relationships, I think we're down to one, maybe two. Understand we can do that when you look at these 9 characteristics. But the idea that I try to do things with you, acquaintances, all of you in this room, you're just a familiar face. We got a new person here, never been here before. As you look around and you see people that are just, a first-time event, when you come next week, they're just acquaintances. That's it. Why? Because they're no longer a stranger. You're an acquaintance because you're not a stranger. Kind of a blanket statement. Now, if you take the time and we talk, you and I discuss, where you work and what you do, see, and now we have that idea of disclosure. I disclose myself to you enough that I start to feel comfortable with you. And I start to find out that's another thing that happens. We have values and beliefs that are similar. Like you like fishing, I like fishing. You got a motorcycle, I got a motorcycle. I enjoy life. Remember lifestyle? Life's what God gave you. Style is how you lead it. I see enough common in your lifestyle through your values and beliefs that I say, let's do something together. See, now we're up to that idea of commitment, which is one of those characteristics of a relationship. We commit to see each other, to do things together. Now we're discussing and disclosing even more. We're finding we have more in common. And then it happens that I do the 4th thing up there, which is I now call you and talk to you that you might help me do some problem solving. Now, as I'm rattling this off, I want all y'all to know I'm just going right down the 9 characteristics of relationships right over there. All I'm doing is going right down. Because what happens now is I'm at number 5, which is collaborative lifestyle. I love that word, but when I wrote this, it's the best word I could come up with. Co-labor, collaborative. I work with you to find a lifestyle that includes both of us in it. And a friend can do that. If you guys leave here today and you're going to meet somebody to do anything, whether it be fishing or biking or just go to the park and throw a disc golf, that's what, hey, I'm working with you to find some time to spend together, and we enjoy it so much. I've got a couple of friends I play disc golf with, and whenever I think of disc golf, I call them. I have some other friends that, they like going to the beach. They don't like disc golf. Well, I call them. And so we have friends at different levels with different activities and different events. Football. Some of my friends love it. Some of my friends hate it. So we're always shifting our collaborative lifestyle to people that we can fit in with. Does it make sense to you? So now, guess what? You find out I got a friend here. And we start doing things. Your trust for that friend develops specific to the interest that you have and the commitment that you uphold for that relationship to grow. Commitment. Let's do this together. When the litany of things I just explained to, when their actions don't make sense, they become unpredictable, when in fact you can't count on them to be there for you, that's when we begin to lose trust. And so I want to ask you this basic question, kind of it was similar to honesty and accountability, but it also is applied to trust and support. What's more important, trust or support?
Trust.
You guys got trust? Got some guys. You know, you're giving me the right answers because I'm getting a mixture of both. And I'm going to tell you, trust is the most important one. Now, let me explain to you why. Excuse me. I'm going to rephrase that. Support. Support is the most important one. And because if you support me in the way I need to be supported, then I develop trust for you. I get people all the time when I ask about relationships, they'll say, oh no, I trust everybody. And I'll say, no, that doesn't work in this world. If somebody said, can I use your car, would you just give them the keys? I mean, well, of course not. Why? Well, they haven't earned the idea that you can support me in my lifestyle choices, you know, my values and beliefs. I haven't created this notion of you being a friend or a roommate or a companion or a lover. And as a result of that, I have boundaries up. My boundaries don't come down until you prove you can support me in ways that I need to be supported. And when you do that, guess what? Then I trust you. So the idea that support is predictable ways that you show someone that you care about them by meeting and maintaining their relational needs. And when you date, some of those relational needs you have are easy. Hey, just being predictable. Just being predictable. How about this one? How about treat me with respect? When we go out, when we do things together, you don't have to put me on a pedestal, but you need to make me feel like I'm important. And oh, by the way, when you're with me, especially in a new relationship, can you disclose enough about me that not only do I feel comfortable with you now, but I start to get enough of your lifestyle choices that I want to be with you? You know, a lot of us in this particular program all have at one point felt like we've been in love. All of us. Because when I ask you what is love, typically you reflect back to me that feeling you have when you're with someone special that makes you feel like this relationship is above all others. And you got to think about that. But what happens when all the signs were ahead of time that this wasn't a good relationship and you really hadn't got that bond going yet, but you still were all in? Most of the men I work with, and women too, will be the first to tell you the signs of this not working were early. And I ignored them. And hey, here's the next one. I'm not living with who they are, I'm living with who I thought they could be. See, that's the one that really hurts. I saw the problems in the beginning of the relationship. I understood that trust and support issues, honesty and accountability, predictability, lack of it, you know, where actions didn't speak as loud as words, and actions were just horribly disconnected. I saw it, but it didn't repulse me enough, and I stayed involved because I kept thinking, if I'm truly a hero and I'm the kind of person I am, I can resolve your personality flaws and we'll have this perfect love relationship. So I'm not going to live with who you are, I'm going to live with who I imagine you to be. And sometimes we find that that is the dominant reason why I'm in this relationship that shouldn't be. I want to go back to summing up for today, trust and support. Learn that the person can support you in the needs that you have, and then develop trust for them. That's healthy. And I would encourage you to do that. I would also ask you to think about honesty and accountability. What's more important? Accountability. Because when I'm accountable,
It's an action.
it's an action that I'm making amends, and I'm asking you, how do I make this up to you? Which by itself has a quality of honesty. I gave the story last week about, and this didn't happen, but it's a metaphor, and that is you go outside and somebody bumped into your car. It's just a little ding, but they got a note with a phone number, and they admit that they did it, and they're saying, let me fix your car. See, they didn't wait for me. I found a note saying I'm willing to fix your car. Well, that's the accountability. With that comes a certain amount of honesty. And then finally, that last part, remind everybody, love is a process, not a destination. It's an assertive dedication to collaboratively build a lasting relationship with a willing partner. Now, I left out the word problem solving because that's in there too. Love is a process, not a destination. It's an assertive dedication to problem solve in developing a collaborative relationship that we may stay together. And I understand that's a long-winded definition, but a lot of you can sit back and say, wait a second, my partner's not equally buying into this as I am. And we're not problem solving. And that idea about lifestyle, you really got to think about that. Life's what God gave you, style is how you lead it. I was thinking about that last night because I was at the Green Iguana. And they had, people that were dressed to kill and other people that looked like they just left a junkyard. And I was trying to figure out, did they do that on purpose? Because I can see the style with this person, where everything matched, and they obviously went out their way to prepare themselves to go out for a nice evening of entertainment. And I can see other people that just sort of fall into life one day at a time. Now reflect back to that same statement I made. Are you living with the person who they are, or are you living with who you hope they're to be through you? And I see that as so common. I will fix you and make you perfect, and once I've done that, we will have a good relationship. The comment I just had is that, I'm taping, so I got to fix this a little bit, but the comment I just had is that, I brought my partner back into my environment, my lifestyle, my social group, and I thought when they came back to my lifestyle and my environment that they would modify and change themselves to fit in appropriately. And yet, I think a lot of people make that mistake, And again, we have this notion that if I fix you, once you're fixed, you'll be the perfect partner and I'll be happy. And life really doesn't work that way. Hey, again, I'm Dr. Pilet. I hope you enjoyed this on Trust and Support. Thank you.